where legends are made.
Junior achievement is where dreams take flight. We are helping students connect what they learn in school to future work and career success. We are teaching them how to manage money to achieve financial security as adults. And we are showing them that starting a business also means changing lives and communities. However, we can't do it alone. Find out how you can help.
The views expressed in the following program do not necessarily represent the views of the staff and management of WVUA 23.
Bringing you analysis and insight into the Crimson Tide. Your Crimson cover hosts, John Copeland, Mike Parker, and Chase Goodbread. Sponsored by Burnham Hahn and by Crimson Village.
Welcome into Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23. I'm Chase Goodbread, sports columnist with the Tuscaloosa News, joined as always by my co-host John Copeland, former Alabama All-American defensive end. Mike Parker not with us this week. Hopefully to get Mike back soon as possible. John, a lot to get into here this week on CCTV. Alabama basketball on tap, roster news on that front. The Alabama softball season comes to a somewhat surprising end over at Rhodes Stadium. We'll talk about that. The Alabama gymnastics program sees a changeover at the head coaching role, and recruiting news coming at you as well. A little bit of NIL talk on tap, John, as I bounce around here. The mailbag, got a lot to get to. Alabama basketball, though, first, John, and we saw a way. Here's some highlights of getting to the point here. Nate Oates' recent pickup out of the transfer portal. You're watching Dominic Welch, who came out of the portal from St. Bonaventure, 6'5" small forward, averaged about 12, 13 points a game last season. John, we saw a lot of Alabama players hit the exit ramp for Alabama after that rough postseason that they had. And, in and out in the NCAAs in one round, like we frankly kind of expected. Then about 4 or 5 guys say I'm out with the transfer portal going to another school. You got the NBA losses as well, right, with the Davison kid. So Nate Oates has had a challenge to just to fill these spots. He's doing it with the portal a little bit. He'll do it with some signees as well. Portal activity might not even be done yet. I think Oates has one more scholarship left to give, John, but this is what they're looking to fill with.
Hey, that's the age we're living in, Chase. I think the transfer portal is going to be huge in college sports. I think we're going to see a lot of movement, not just basketball and football. I think there's going to be movement across the board in sports. And look, if you're able to go out and get an experienced guy out of the portal as opposed to going to get a high school kid who doesn't have a lot of experience that you have to develop over time, I mean, it's common sense to me you will want the guy that have the experience. The thing that I don't like about this is, though, there are going to be a lot of high school kids that would have gotten an opportunity to play college sports that is going to miss out on that opportunity because of the transfer portal.
But that scholarship that's lost by the school losing the player gets backfilled by a high school kid a lot of the time.
Yeah, but just think about the guys, though. Yeah, you're going to
right?
the good guys, they're still going to get the opportunity. But those that was, almost not quite, like filling the team, filling the need kind of guy, you don't have to go to high school and get that guy anymore. You can go to the transfer portal and get that guy.
You were just talking about how this is going to go beyond football and basketball. Well, it already has. We're going to talk about Alabama softball a little bit later in the program, John, but Patrick Murphy, as outstanding as he is as a coach and with his track record of winning, five girls out off that softball team go into the transfer portal. Maybe one or two of them come back. Of course, the rule says you could come back if you want to. So maybe that happens. But 5 off the Alabama softball team, John. That's not. I can't imagine that's what anybody could expect. But here we are.
I mean, that's huge. The program. The thing is, too, Chase, we live in a society now is what can you do for me right now? There's no more waiting around waiting your turn like it used to be back in the days when I played. You waited your turn, and then you got the opportunity to play. That's not the case anymore. It's play me right now, or I'm going somewhere that will.
It's free agency.
I'm telling you.
It's free agency, but it's even better free agency than the NFL, because the NFL, you get locked in the same place for 4 years with a rookie contract right out the gate.
That's right.
These guys could play in 4 schools by that time, John.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So it is something. All right, the Alabama softball team, aforementioned, finishes its season at home in the NCAA Regional. It was a loss to Stanford on a Sunday that did in Patrick Murphy's squad. An outstanding season, had trouble hitting the ball down the stretch, John, particularly in the postseason. But Montana Fouts, the outstanding pitcher for Patrick Murphy's squad, threw both ends of a doubleheader, 245 pitches, a shutout in the first game. She comes back in the second game and has them shut out through about 5 innings. So and over 200 pitches at this point. Couldn't score on her. Alabama couldn't score in the end either, though, and Stanford breaks through after she'd thrown almost 250 pitches for a couple runs, and that was it.
That's a lot of work on the mound, Chase. Even though we got out of the tournament a little earlier than what we would like to have, but Patrick Murphy is the GOAT when it comes to softball. That is the GOAT. It's hard to beat a Patrick Murphy team. This
was the first time ever that a team had first time Alabama failed to reach a super regional. They'd done it 16 years in a row or 17 years in a row. The COVID year, you take one out. And that's when the super regionals began. So every year there's been a super regional format. Alabama's been in it until this loss to Stanford.
It's pretty impressive.
Streaks have to end, but there you have it. All right, before we get out of here for this segment, a lot more to come, but the Alabama gymnastics program undergoing change. Ashley Priest-Johnson comes to fill the role vacated by Dana Dobransky, and John Priest-Johnson comes highly recommended. Greg Byrne mentioning, I believe, in his comments that former Alabama gymnastics coach Sarah Patterson was consulted in this hire. Not a surprise, and Priest-Johnson comes with a lot of credentials.
And gymnastics is a big deal around here. I take my daughters to see it all the time, and we've had a phenomenal gymnastic group, and I hope that continue.
All right, we got a lot more to get to here on Crimson Cover. When we come back, we'll turn to our SEC preview, take a look at the South Carolina Gamecocks. We will also hit the recruiting front, plenty more. You're watching CCTV on WVUA 23.
Burnham Hahn Exterminators offers termite and pest control solutions for residential and commercial customers in the West Alabama area. Family owned and operated, now in its 3rd generation, we stay up to date with the latest advancements in the pest control industry to protect your family and home from pests. We're an authorized operator of the Centricon baiting system. Burnham Hahn Exterminators, here when you need us. Call us today for your complete termite and pest control services.
Eras in music. Flashback Funk Fest featuring Cameo, SOS Band, Midnight Star, Lakeside, and Jazz Band. Saturday, May 28th at Tuscaloosa Amphitheater. Flashback Funk Fest. Get reserved seats now at Ticketmaster.com. Part of the Coca-Cola Concert Series.
Everyone has a story. From simple observations to extraordinary circumstances, the people around us have compelling stories to share. Stories of leadership and dedication, of opportunities that inspire others, of accomplishments and experiences that encourage, teach, and point toward the future. These are the people and stories making an impact at Shelton State Community College. And together, this is our Shelton Statement. Begin yours today.
Things a little bumpy in your driveway? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. It's time to get strong. OxStrong.com.
20 David, 20 David, 50 David in need of assistance. Go!
Never be in a hurry to die.
Welcome back to Crimson Cover Television. This segment brought to you by Burnham Hahn Exterminators and that great local service in Tuscaloosa for 75-plus years. Burnham Hahn offering complete pest and termite services for residential or commercial needs. Mosquito control, fire ant treatments, they do it all over at Burnham Hahn. Also licensed operators of the Centricon Termite Colony Elimination System. You got to have that if you're a homeowner. Call Clay Hahn. His staff will get you started with a monthly or quarterly pest control program. Give him a ring at 553-4433, or you can visit burnhamhahn.com. Hopefully we'll get Big Clay Hahn back in here soon into the studio. John, always enjoy having him drop in every once in a while here on CCTV. All right, the SEC team-by-team preview that we do throughout the summer months here on Crimson Cover moves through the SEC East. South Carolina up next, John. They were 7-6 last season, 3-5 in SEC play, finished 5th in the division over there. Offensively, Spencer Rattler comes in as the Oklahoma transfer. A lot of excitement in Gamecock country about that. Marshawn Lloyd, Josh Vann at the wide receiver spot, a couple to watch. Defensively, Zach Pickens, Brad Johnson, Cam Smith. Toughest games, John, for South Carolina, at least the way I see it. Home against Georgia September 17th, playing Texas A&M October 22nd, and they are on the road at Clemson November 26th. What about it, John?
Chase, I like this South Carolina team. I think if you add Rattler to the mix with this South Carolina team, I think they have an outstanding coach. I thought they made excellent improvement last year. They was very competitive in a lot of games. I like it. I like adding the quarterback with the kind of toughness that Rattler have, the kind of experience that he's have, and the kid, he has a chip on his shoulder. He have something to prove.
Lost his job at one point at Oklahoma.
He got something to prove to the country. I like it. I think South Carolina is going to shock a lot of people this year.
It seems like he's had 3 years of experience at Oklahoma, even though it was a kind of a quick flash for him as a starting quarterback. But you know, the guy's got the release, he's got the arm. A couple scouts I talked to about a year or so ago about Rattler felt like they still saw plenty of holes in his game as he was having that big year. They weren't true believers. But they all recognize the release is quick, the arm strength is there. The decision making is one thing, and the other part is the mental part of the game, John. I think the mental part of the game is probably what Rattler has to prove himself on the most at South Carolina.
You know, Chase, being a quarterback, they're very finicky. And you got a guy behind you that's possibly as good or better. It messes with your mental. I think at South Carolina, he's going to have the reign. I don't think there's anybody on that roster that can test him. I think he's going to be relaxed. I think he's going to know this is his last opportunity to get to where he needs to be. And I think he's going to come out slinging that thing like a gunslinger.
One thing it's going to be different for him for sure. At Oklahoma, he had that fast break offense under Lincoln Riley. Mm-hmm. He had an outstanding offensive line. He had a deep group of wide receivers. I mean, he was put into a system where as a quarterback, if you pick it up and you're on the money, it's go time. South Carolina doesn't have that kind of personnel.
Listen.
He's going to have to thrive and what will seem to him like a slow down offense.
Listen when I say this, and I'm not comparing the two, and I'm not saying he's going to have this kind of success. But think about Joe Burrow when he first got to LSU. They didn't have anything. He wasn't great his first year there. But it's the same type of situation. This is not a bad football team. This team just doesn't have a quarterback. Now they have a really good quarterback, and I think this team is going to be okay.
All right, South Carolina Gamecocks wraps them up.
And I called Burrows way back when y'all called me crazy.
Who they going to beat on this? If you like them enough to give them a W in one of these games?
No, that don't mean. But that don't mean they're not good. That don't mean.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
No, Chase, that don't mean that won't be good.
Okay,
though.
all right. So
no, I mean
you like them, but they're going to get at least 3 L's.
They'll win 8-9 games.
All right, recruiting really quickly. A little news on that front. Alabama picks up a commitment from quarterback Eli Holstein, headed to Alabama. Some highlights of this kid, John, 4-star rated quarterback, and a lot of offers for this kid for sure. He's regarded not only as an excellent passer, but a pretty solid athlete as well. And Arch Manning, and where his recruitment goes from here for Alabama now that they've picked up Eli Holstein, that's kind of a side topic here as well.
Well, one thing is for sure that Nick Saban is a outstanding evaluation of talent. And if he went and got this kid over Arch Manning without waiting for Arch Manning to make a decision, that says a lot about this kid. But if I'm Arch Manning, that doesn't concern me. I don't care who they got. If I want to come to this school, I'm going to come to this school because I feel like I'm the better guy. I'm going to come and I'm going to compete and I'm going to win the job. If you're running from the competition, well, you probably shouldn't be here anyway.
All right, Eli Holstein again commits to Alabama. Hopefully Mike Parker will get back here in that recruiting seat for us, John, real soon and give us his thoughts on Eli Holstein. If not, maybe we could get some thoughts from Mike and bring him to the show on ourselves next week for sure. I will have to talk to him about that. All right, John, we're going to move on to the third segment of the show, but a lot to get to. A little bit of news on the Alabama basketball front. Of course, we started with the transfer portal in Alabama basketball. John will finish up the show. Next segment, we'll be talking a little bit about Cade Phillips and his commitment to Tennessee. Little news from Lane Kiffin as well. A lot to get to here on CCTV. Stick with us. This is WVUA 23.
It's good to know that in this impersonal world, there's still a local home-owned drugstore that can take full care of you and your family. The good folks at Northport Pharmacy. Owner and pharmacist Rob Colburn will personally see that all of your prescriptions are quickly and accurately filled and your questions answered. And be sure to check out their gift gallery for the finest in gift selections featuring Alabama merchandise, photo frames, children's clothing, beachwear, jewelry, and more. Remember, when you have pharmaceutical needs, see the man who will take the time to get to know you. Rob Colburn at Northport Pharmacy, located next to CC's Pizza, Highway 82 in Northport.
Burnham Hahn Exterminators offers termite and pest control solutions for residential and commercial customers in the West Alabama area. Family owned and operated, now in its third generation, we stay up to date with the latest advancements in the pest control industry to protect your family and home from pests. We're an authorized operator of the Centricon baiting system. Burnham Hahn Exterminators, here when you need us. Call us today for your complete termite and pest control service.
I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet.
Do you know what it's like to be the only kid in school without a lunch?
I've always provided for my family. It's embarrassing to have to ask for help.
Nobody deserves to go hungry. Not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the West Alabama Food Bank and their partner agencies work to bring food to our hungry neighbors. If you need help or can help, visit westalabamafoodbank.org.
As you go about your day, you'll want to know what's happening to keep you ahead. WVUA 23 is all new and keeps you connected to the stories that affect you. Log on to get the latest breaking news, weather, and sports. Enjoy our redesigned look, faster speeds, easier to find features, and more. Watch our news anytime, anywhere with our new and improved live stream so you're up to date anywhere you go. The new and improved WVUA23.com. Log on and stay connected today.
We want to hear your good news stories and be a bright spot. Share your stories with us. Visit us online and click on Bright Spots or message us on social media.
Welcome back to Crimson Covered Television. This segment brought to you by Crimson Village, the most active and fun-loving aging adult community in all of Tuscaloosa. Residents there get the finest in dining and lifestyle activities. Amenities are extensive. John and I have checked it out. It is a phenomenal facility over there for sure. Crimson Village offers 3 levels of care, including the Tide Memory Care Program, and they take the absolute highest of precautions when it comes to COVID-19. So call Tim Eads. He's the transition specialist over there at 632-6699. And remember, Crimson Village owns fun. All right, John, a lot to get to here in this final segment. We're not quite as rushed for our final run of the show here at the end as we usually are. Usually we're trying to get in and out fast, but a lot to get to and time to do it. Starting with Cade Phillips, the Alabama basketball recruit, commits to Tennessee. There you see, I believe, the social media graphic on that. And what's the number 1 basketball recruit in the state. He's a forward, phenomenal defensive player, John, a real shot block artist, super defensive around the rim. That's the reputation he comes with at 6'9". And what's interesting, John, is his father, of course, played quarterback at Alabama, that being John David Phillips from Anniston, and his mother actually played Alabama women's basketball. His grandfather, John Croyle, of course, a star Alabama lineman under Paul W. Bear Bryant. So a lot of history there, a big legacy there with Cade Phillips. Chooses Tennessee over Alabama with a family full of former Alabama athletes. Not an easy thing to do. However, the way I look at it, John, it's a lot easier to do that now than it used to be.
Yes. Yes, there was a time, especially when I was coming through. If family members, especially immediate mom, dad, grandfather, went to a university, you was going to that university. There was no questions about that. But now with the way things are moving in college athletics, it doesn't matter. And that's just all about being in a good fit for you. And that doesn't matter. You know, there's no more traditions when it comes to, like, when I grew up, I was a diehard Auburn fan. I wanted to go play football for Auburn, and I was going to do that from the time I was able to look at football, and I wanted to go, but I didn't. but that was the tradition of it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the case anymore. Now you get guys from all over the country.
Right, and you're talking about family, and there's definitely family pressure where you're going to go to school.
That.
I'm talking more about external, like outside the family, right? I'm talking about the neighborhood, the town, that kind. There's a lot of pressure in that regard as well. That's kind of what I mean, and not that family pressure hadn't dropped off some. I think it probably has, but that external pressure, John. Now all that, to me, it's pretty much contained in social media, which you can ignore. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just chatter. It's just a little noise. But what I'm saying, to finish the point, back 20, 30 years ago, the people that are on social media now dogging these kids, they were creating bigger problems than that.
So you're saying the sheriff is not showing up at your house saying, boy, you better go to Alabama, like it used to be back in the day.
I'm not even talking about Alabama. I'm just talking about college football in general.
I'm going to tell you a story. I may have told you this before, and I know we got to go. I was driving on my way to Huntsville one night, and I got pulled over by the cops. I was speeding in a little small town, can't remember the town, and I was speeding, and I got pulled over by the cops. It might have been 10:30. The cop walks up, get my ID, look at my ID, comes back, said, "You John Copeland, play with Alabama?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Look, if you don't, I'm going to let you out this ticket, but I need you to come talk to Ozell Powell and try to get him to come to Alabama. I said, yes, sir, I sure will.
That's some kind of story.
And that's how it used to be.
Is that how he ended up coming to Alabama?
I don't know. That's how I got out of that ticket.
All right. Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin in the news this week as well. Some interesting comments from him on name, image, and likeness. John, he thinks and makes a good point, I think. This was his quote in Sports Illustrated with Ross Dellinger. There's a player who we went to a school that we got beat on, and I asked him about the relationship with the head coach. He'd never talked to him, NIL. Kiffin's point here is the days of coaches trying to build relationships with 14-year-olds, it's over. It's over because now it's a waste of time. Yeah. Because if it's going to be all about the money at the end of the day, then anybody can jump in the last second with the biggest offer.
But not for everybody.
Well,
maybe the majority, but not for everybody. There are still those kids that want to be a relationship. There are still those kids out there that want to make sure where they're going is a good fit and they're not just chasing the money. But for the majority, yes, it's all about the bread.
Kiffin with a good point there, frankly. And I agree with you. I don't think it's that way in every single precinct, right?
That's
right. That dynamic, it's here and it's getting worse, not better.
That's right.
For sure. All right, the Crimson Cover ticker now. We're going to jump into that. A little bit of news from Alabama athletes, former and transfer pending, I guess. Stephon Wynn headed to Nebraska. The former Alabama defensive lineman, also former Alabama linebacker Eric Anders, lost a split decision in UFC. He continues his MMA career. And former Alabama wide receiver Ardarius Stewart signs in the CFL, the British Columbia Lions, for him. All right, John. Jumping into the mailbag now. And if our viewers want to shoot us a question in the mailbag, you just go to crimsoncover.com, click the mailbag icon. Shoot us an email. We'll answer it on the air if we can. Chuck from Vestavia Hills this week, John, wants to know, do you think Alabama A&M tickets are going to cost more than that Alabama-Auburn ticket this year? It's a fine question.
You're going to have to sell the RV to get to that game.
Here's why I think A&M is going to be a hotter ticket. Because Alabama and A&M could definitely go into that game both unbeaten. All right, if that happens, John, you're talking about probably two top 5 teams.
Well,
and you throw in the Saban Jimbo mix.
I don't think
and there won't be a TV set in the country that doesn't have that on.
I really don't think it matters what they're ranked. I don't think it matters. I think no matter what the situation, they'll win, loss of both teams. I think it's going to be the hottest ticket in town. And it's not going to be cheap. You got to start selling stuff, man. Look, if you want to go to this game, you better start selling stuff. Facebook market, put it on there. Sell the dogs, because it's going to be hard to afford that ticket.
How about the T-shirts? There going to be some Saban versus Jimbo T-shirts. You know,
you better believe it.
Some of those black market T-shirts.
You better believe it.
It could be fun. All right. Before we get out of here, I want to say congratulations to Deontay Wilder, the bronze bomber, Tuscaloosa heavyweight boxer. A statue, there you see, on the Tuscaloosa Riverwalk, unveiled in his honor, John. It's exactly his height, the statue and him, both 6'7". This thing weighs 830 pounds, though, John. Deontay only weighs about 210.
Look, that's pretty cool, though. Whoever did that did a great job.
Yeah, I think it was outstanding. All right, for John Copeland, I'm Chase Goodbread. We will see you next time on Crimson Cover.
The Holiday Inn Express Hotel and Suites in Tuscaloosa invites you to come and experience our award-winning hotel and exceptional hospitality. We are located just minutes from the Alabama campus and area shopping. If it's business, shopping, groups, or family that bring you to town, call us to book your stay. Once you have stayed with us, you'll understand. We welcome you as our guests, and you depart as our friends. The Holiday Inn Express.
To Baseball Country, a ministry in West Alabama that reaches far outside the diamond. We create opportunities for people of all ages and backgrounds to encounter Jesus. From baseball and softball training for high school to the big leagues, to men's and women's team sports camps, men's and women's ministry, youth mentored hunts, service projects, custom retreats, and so much more. If you want to get in the game, email sam@baseballcountry.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
When you want to follow Crimson Tide sports, there's only one show that takes you behind the scenes.